I want to tell you just a little bit about my background, and then I'll toss it to Dr. Daba and Dr. Bannon. Being a professor is pretty much my third career, and I love working with students, and I love sort of being a coach more than I am a professor, because most of you coming into this field are either already practicing it or you know a lot of it from your own personal studies and your own learning. So we have a lock on the theory and the research, which Dr. Bannon and Dr. Daba do very well. If you Google their names, you will find them published on textbooks, in research articles. So these are well-known professors. I actually, since coming to Mason, have been to a few conferences where Dr. Daba's name comes up and Dr. Bannon's name comes up in a room of 300 people. And I'm going, wow, I work with these people. Well, they can be your professors. So I just wanted to say that. So I graduated from Penn State in 2015. My focus was in higher education. And then after I graduated with my doctorate in learning design and technology from Penn State, I did instructional design work at a couple of universities, large and small, and have worked as a designer on programs in the areas of cybersecurity and engineering. That was one of the big projects that I worked on while I was at Southern Methodist University. And then I also have worked as a designer at Dallas College, where I had more of a focus on developing professors to teach at that college and designing their courses and building their courses. And so before I started doing this sort of work, I was a television news journalist for about 13 or 14 years. And it turns out that being a TV journalist is basically teaching online. And I like to say that I didn't really become a good student until I became a TV news reporter, because think about it. You're out in the middle of somewhere, you don't necessarily know where you are, and you're having to collect facts, talk to people, synthesize information, and then you have to put it all back out on the air, and you have to do it on deadline every day, every night, and you have to be right. So that kind of high standard is something that I think it's fair to say I apply at George Mason when I'm working with students, mainly because you as a designer are, and this is my personal opinion, when you're designing instruction or you're addressing a performance gap, you basically are going to be getting into people's heads, literally. So there's a lot of responsibility that you have when it comes to designing instruction. And so we think we give you some of those frameworks at George Mason that you can apply professionally in terms of being an ethical instructional designer, and in terms of taking what you do seriously, because you can have a big impact not only on people's lives, but my take is you can have a big impact on the world, solving some of these wicked problems that are out there. I've had some students in the program who come in, they design active shooter training, for example, and then after they design it with us, they actually go out in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and they put that training like in place at a school or in an organization. So that's just a little bit about me. You'll discover professors can talk at length. I'm sure you know that already, but I'm going to pass it now to Dr. Daba and Dr. Bannon for their comments.
Thanks, Dr. Wilson. So I'll try to be brief. I'm also got my doctorate at Penn State. At the time when I got it, it was called Instructional Systems. When Dr. Wilson got it, it has learning design and technology. But I've been at George Mason University for over 20 years. I love to teach. I love to design courses. I also do research in online learning. I've published a lot of books and articles on meaningful online learning. I've done a lot of webinars on how to teach online and how to design learning interactions online. And lately, I've been really into personalized learning. I like to design personalized learning experiences or help people design personal learning environments for continuous learning and lifelong learning opportunities. And I just published a book with one of our graduates on personalized learning. She came up with this PLIF framework that's pretty amazing, and we hope to be kind of get on the road and showcase that framework and how it might be used to design personalized learning experiences using technology, using instructional technology. Dr. Bannon?
And I'm Brenda Bannon. I'm probably the oldest member of this faculty. It's 26 plus years. I lose count. In any case, we are all Penn State grads, which ironically just at different points in time. And so we are thrilled to kind of work together and try to create a student experience that benefits no matter where you are in your career. You're just beginning, you're transferring in, or you have been in the field for 20 years or 25 years. We've taught people at different points and different times and different foci and different interests. So a little bit about me, my research area varies according to the decade. Most recently, I've been doing some live simulation training with emerging technologies and artificial intelligence and IoT devices and wearable devices. So kind of pushing the envelope about how people learn and in training context with emerging technologies for learning. So we are very steeped in that ideas about learning and how to translate that into current technology systems. So, and all of the processes that go along with that in design that Dr. Wilson alluded to. So we are thrilled you're here with us, and we really, really enjoy what we do. So we hope you'll come along with us. Doug?
Next slide, please. Thank you, Dr. Bannon and Dr. Deba. Okay, so you can see on the screen there some big names in media, some big names in perhaps defense contracting, Booz Allen Hamilton, and some other corporations. These are the places where our graduates work. Sometimes the graduates of our program come in working already working in these places, and then they get a promotion. But other times we have students who come to us, do a career transition, and then they have a portfolio of work that they completed, and they use that portfolio to apply for jobs in these places. So a lot of these companies also are in the DC area, Northern Virginia and Maryland area. So if you're regionally in this area, then you can aspire to work in one of these places. And the other good thing is when you show up for your interview, you might discover that the person on the other side of the table hiring you is a George Mason alum. So that'll be really good for you if you have that experience. I know that happens for a fact. So that's another benefit of joining our program.
Yeah, a lot of our grads actually, as Dr. Wilson mentioned, work at these places, you know, way back when the program was probably mainly face-to-face. So it was the DMV area, you know, District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. But since we went 100% online, many of these companies also now have remote work opportunities. And so a lot of our alums, you know, work at these government contractors or, you know, corporate nonprofits, as well as you could see the National Geographic and the Smithsonian and SAIC and Bixel. And yes, our alums are amazing because they help, you know, we have a specific listserv, we'll talk more about it later, where we post jobs that our alums send to us, the faculty, to post because they want to hire students in our program because they benefited so much from the program, and they want to hire students who are going through the program just like they did. So you will, once you're admitted and you become a student in the program, you will subscribe to this listserv, and you know, you'll probably see about 2 or 3 job opportunities a week. Not that you may not be looking for a job, and that is fine. You may be looking to upskill, retool your skills, because as Dr. Bannon mentioned, we try to keep you, at the cutting edge of things and what technology is helping us do with design and with learning design. But this is really special. We're the only program, I believe, in the country that focuses on, we have like separated our programs for teachers who want to stay in the schools. We have an excellent program for teachers who would like to stay in the schools and want to learn how to use technology in the classroom. But this program is dedicated for those who want to, as Dr. Wilson mentioned, transition from K-12 context, or you're already working in a government contracting agency or some other, company, corporate company, and you would like to upskill and upgrade your skills. So thank you. Yeah.
It's also the program, as I understand it, is very applied in focus, and the graduates can be very selective in terms of the jobs that they can take on. Would that be correct?
Yeah, Dr. Bannon, you want to answer that?
Yeah, we've designed the program so that, you are really translating theory to practice, where, if someone grills you on how, what do you know about adult learning theory? You can spit out, I know this about adult learning theory, but I know more than that. I know how to apply it, and then how to design it and translate those tenets about how adults learn to a technology ecosystem of some sort, or a technology system of some sort that's used for learning and training. So all of our projects, all of our courses are project-based. So we don't give tests. We focus on you learning to translate how people learn to current technologies in all of our courses. We kind of build up that knowledge, so that when you leave here, you feel pretty confident that you can kind of take what's handed to you in different types of contexts, and you can take the ball and run with it. So we hear that from our grads. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, see that graduate on your screen? That smile? Dr. Bannon, that is the smile of confidence right there. So we're not just telling you this. There it is on the screen. That's from a Mason graduation, and that can be your smile too. All right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that Mason also provides lifetime career services. And I would say that with this program, it sounds like you're prepared from day one, to take on the job of a learning design and technologist. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And what you're hearing from the folks in the room here points right at these career opportunities when we talk about confidence, when we talk about learning sciences, adult learning theory, when we talk about technical writing and having the language of the field to apply in a corporate or a nonprofit setting. You're not only going to know what you're doing, you're going to have the theoretical frameworks on how to do it. So skills. So that could be anything from the developer or designer, right there at the top of the screen where you see instructional designer, learning developer, UX designer. These terms are likely familiar to you. I'm not going to drill down on all of these. Save your questions. We can talk about them. Then we have students who are consultants who have more of an entrepreneurial lean, and they, in some cases, leave the program and they are positioned to take advantage of the marketplace as entrepreneurs and as consultants who are typically highly paid. And then managers. So let's say that you don't necessarily want to be a line person like at the bench developing. So some people come to the program. I'm thinking of a lady in Massachusetts who worked for a global hospital corporation with something like 10,000 employees. Very good designer and technical person, but she managed a global workforce for the hospital chain. So her background as a designer and as a technology specialist gave her entree not only to that management role, but also allowed her to get her hands dirty even at an executive level, because she well understood the folks on the front line who were doing all of the work for on behalf of the hospital corporation. So you're going to be well positioned to be a manager, or if you like the bench and you like getting your hands dirty, so to speak, then you can do that too. Consulting, or maybe research. We haven't talked a lot about that, but a lot of these corporations are doing learning engineering research and applying as a return on investment sort of approach what it is they're learning about workers and how to turn that into revenue for the company. So
yeah, you're going to get every flavor that is on the screen in the program. We have courses on user experience design, on e-learning, on learning and performance, on learning theory. So our field is very rich and very varied. Not a lot of people really know what instructional design is, but in this program, you are going to get the richness of our field in its different roles and variations. And that's what's going to empower you to become whatever you would like, as Dr. Wilson mentioned. And in one of the courses, that capstone course that I mentioned, we will actually connect you with some of our graduates, and they can tell you how they went, from point A to point B, how they became a learning strategy consultant. Dr. Wilson just gave you an example of how that happened. We have a lot of students who have crafted their own niche and sort of, stepped into a role of their choosing, so that they can really excel at what they do and be passionate about what they do.
Dr. DeBog, how much time would you say on average does a student have to devote per week? Because most people are working full time.
So if you want to advance, we're going to get to that when we talk about the program. Dr. Wilson, you want to go to the next slide so we can show the program, the courses, and how it is?
sounds good.
Okay.
You want me to pass forward? Keep going.
Let's talk about money just briefly.
Always a good thing.
Because it's important. And so I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. And you can see, looking off to the left there, up to the right, that's an upward trajectory for salary. And look at that, less than 1 year experience, $56K. And then within 4 years, you're up to 63. And then at 10 years, 70. So as you're thinking about our program, think about these dollars and that salary, and also the flexibility Dr. DeBog talked about, because you are going to be in a position, there's such a demand for people in the field right now, you're going to be in a strong position to call your own shots when it comes to salary, when it comes to where you work, how you work, and that sort of thing.
Wonderful. Ready for the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So you've already heard now some of the things that make our program unique, but this slide breaks it down into 4 neat boxes. So we have an e-learning graduate certificate. And so I talk to those students and vet those students as they come into the program. And that's a bite of the apple for students who may not yet want a master's degree, or who might want to explore the program before deciding to earn a master's degree. And you can earn a certificate, and you still end up with many pieces in your portfolio that you can use to apply for a job. Not all learning design and technology specialists have a master's degree. But when you come out of our program, not only are you positioned to earn a master's degree if you choose to, but you're also positioned to actually say, well, I can do Adobe Captivate, or I can do UX research or UX design, and you can show somebody that. It's a part-time online format, so you keep your life, basically. You stay with your family, you keep your job. And then your challenge, of course, because it's a challenging program. Make no mistake about it. It's challenging to teach it, right? And the George Mason students are very sharp. It's on you to basically marry your personal life with the demands of the program. And students do it successfully all the time. And now in the lower right-hand corner, competitive tuition. So we're not necessarily the cheapest folks on the block, but we're certainly not the most expensive. And you want to certainly consider your resources or whether your company can pay part of your tuition. And we can have more conversation about that. And then there's our ranking in the left-hand side. The College of Education itself is very well known, as are the professors in this program who you would be studying with. So that's what I wanted to share about that slide.
Yeah, and I've got to say that Mason is actually ranked 7th in the nation as a value ranked school, meaning you're going to get a great bang for the buck. So, and to be taught by knowledgeable faculty such as these faculties, it can't be beat. So
Yeah,
So,
should I
yep.
take the slide?
Of
Okay.
course, of course.
This is the core of the program. So as Dr. Wilson mentioned, it's a flexible program. It's meant to be completed on a part-time basis because you are all adult learners, and this has been the profile of our students, as we've mentioned. Now, if you absolutely want to complete this one on a full-time basis and a shorter time, you can talk with your advisor if you're not working full-time. But this program has been designed for people like you who work full-time, who've got families, who've got other obligations, life, and they would like to upskill their skills in instructional design, and you will earn a Master's of Science in Learning Design and Technology. So this is a very important delineation. Most of the programs in instructional technology or EdTech or educational technology are MEDs. This is a Master's of Science, Master of Science in Learning Design and Technology, along with the e-learning certificate, graduate certificate, for the same number of credits, that is 30 credits, you'll be able to put on your CV 2 degrees. One is your Master's of Science in Learning Design and Technology. The second one is the e-learning certificate. And again, the program is 100% online, 100% asynchronously online, although as you know from us now, we do like to see you and talk with you. We have optional weekly synchronous meetings with our students when we are teaching the classes over Zoom, and we, like office hours, so we can talk through any concepts in the course that you're having difficulty with or any other issues. But all three of us as faculty, as well as our adjunct faculty, do make the time available for you to be able to optional come in with us on a synchronous level and talk with us and meet the other students in the program. But basically the program is designed to be completed on a part-time basis. Now, what does that mean? That means 6 credits per semester, right? And since it's 30 credits, it's going to span 2 years, including 1 summer. So basically it's 6 credits per semester. And the cool thing about the way our courses are offered, it's not like you're taking 2 courses across a 15-week semester on top of each other. You take them sort of one at a time. Every course is no more than 8 weeks by design. So all of our courses start at some point and then they finish in October. So your first course, let's say, will start August 21st and then will be done October 3rd. Then you have a little few days break and then you will start the second 3-credit course in October, and that will go until December. So basically the courses are designed to be completed in 8 weeks or 7.5 weeks, and they're designed to be taken sequentially. Now, there will be some semesters where you might be adding a 2-credit elective or a 1-credit elective on top of a core course, but the idea is you are taking 6 credits per semester and completing the Masters of Science with the e-learning certificate in 2 years. If you start in the fall, this coming fall 2023, you can expect to graduate in spring of 2025, in May of 2025, with the MS in LD&T and the e-learning certificates. So as you could see on the slide, we have 23 credits of core courses. You see them here, EDIT 705, 704, 706, 730, 732, 752 are the user experience design courses that I mentioned. We have a great course on learning analytics that Dr. Bannon developed, and how to leverage data and analytics to understand better how your learners are doing, how your employees are doing, to leverage that data for continuous improvement. And then we have two 1-credit courses, the 601 and the 701. So these are the core courses that you have to take. And then we have electives that you can choose from. Your advisor will let you know what electives are being offered when. We have a 2-credit elective on web accessibility and design. If you're interested in 508 compliance and how to make your e-learning designs more accessible, then that's the 526. We have a project management course for 2 credits if you would like to understand project management. And we have the e-learning design applications. This 575 course changes from Adobe Captivate to Articulate Storyline, and we try to keep, you know, abreast of things. So if a new technology comes up, like a software like Articulate Rise, then we change that course to feature Articulate Rise. So we're always trying to give you the most popular software development tool in the industry. And then we have, if those of you who are going into higher education may be interested in doing the 1-credit course on online teaching essentials. And Dr. Wilson just designed a fabulous course on immersive 3D learning technologies, virtual worlds, augmented reality, and gaming applications. So that's the EDIT 772 that you see at the bottom of the screen. So if you're interested again in designing 3D immersive learning technologies, you can take that course as an elective. And you'll be also invited to a conference that we're doing in September about immersive learning technologies. Anyone would like to add something that I missed here? Dr. Bannon, Dr. Wilson?
Oh, good.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
The audience here is being very shy. You haven't posted any questions in the chat. Come on, y'all. You
Yeah,
have the
well,
faculty here.
Maybe we can then, you know, finish and then allow them to actually ask questions, you know,
That sounds good.
with their videos.
Okay.
That sounds good. We have one more slide. Actually, there's 2 more slides. And so there's the admissions process. And so bachelor's degree and work experience, 2 years is what we're looking for in terms of work experience. And it really could be anything. It's better if it's in a related discipline, but it doesn't have to be. For example, if you have military experience, that's definitely applicable. And we know the military does a great job training our armed forces. Transcripts and resumes, that's pretty typical. This is where I get a really good sense, number 3, from students about whether they can succeed in our program or not. So all of us read the applications. It's the personal goals and the statement. And what we're really looking for in the personal goals and statement is a clarity of thought and an expression of how you personally, given your own personal background, would use the skill set that you're going to develop. And that's important in terms of focus. So when Dr. Daba is talking about flexibility of the program, yes, there's flexibility there, but it moves fast. And some of these courses have a lot of reading. Well, most of them do, right? Theory. So I personally am looking for focus. Others may be looking for some other things, because without that focus, that wandering that could happen, if a class is only 8 weeks long, that could be a potential problem. So we're looking for focus. No GRE required. I'm on number 4 now, and 2 professional letters of recommendation. Anybody have anything to add about the admissions process?
I would just add that, you know, it's really about you and where you want to take this, right? So there's so many positions in our field, so many different ways And throughout the courses, you can leverage some of the courses which are manageable in those 8 weeks. You know, yes, it's some reading, yes, some projects, yes, it's putting together some presentations, sometimes on your own, sometimes with a small team. But it's really about how you want to leverage this program to take you farther and ahead in your own professional trajectory. So many others have done it prior, and we have designed the program to be manageable, but also to be flexible for many different outcomes and many different professional trajectories. So I just wanted to lay that in there.
Sounds like a great program.
It is.
It is. So time for Q&A, and you see a phone number on the screen, an email address, and then of course the website. And unless someone else has something to add right now, I'd like to go ahead and open it up for questions.
Yeah, and you can put them in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. You can email them to us later. We understand that not everybody wants to appear on camera at this time of night. Totally understood. But whatever you're comfortable with, we can keep talking as you see.
So,
Certainly, but we'd rather have you get a chance to ask some questions if you have any.
yeah. Okay, so there is a question. What kind of apps are going to be taught during the program?
What kinds of applications?
Correct.
Different apps. Well, you can use different apps for different things, right? So, you know, Netta mentioned some of the Articulate and Storyline and some of the software applications. Certainly using different apps, you know, in the learning analytics, we explore ChatGPT, right, as an example of, you know, what's happening, and many different apps. We're updating that course continuously, so many different apps that can be utilized to demonstrate how some of the capabilities of AI impact the learning and development profession, and teaching what we can do with some of the current applications that are coming out almost on a daily basis now.
Yeah. So in terms of, Allison, thanks for the question. In terms of how we deliver the program to you, we have to use our learning management system, which is Blackboard, that the university uses to deliver the courses online, right? I'm not sure if that's what you were asking about. But now, even with our learning management system, different professors will you know, have different maybe requirements. So for example, in some of, if you're working in a small group, you can choose whatever app you would like. So Google Drive, you can have SharePoint, you can do how to, you know, to communicate with your colleagues. If, like, suppose you have to develop a design document in Dr. Bannon's class or Dr. Wilson's class, and you're working with 2 or 3 other people. That's up to the team to decide whether they want to use Google Drive or they want to use a wiki. I, for example, like to use wiki spaces in the LMS to get the groups to work together. So also you can use, you know, you can video record your presentations using Kaltura. So we have a lot of variety, and sometimes we use VoiceThread in our discussion board. Sometimes we use, which one? Yeah, Vimeo. And sometimes we use, we have even Padlet in some of our courses that Dr. Wilson and I, so we try to integrate in the, you know, from our side, as many technologies as possible based on their affordances that will give you a very good learning experience, you know. And then of course we model how we use this technology so that if you're using it in your own company or with your own employees for training, then you know how that technology functions. Now, as Dr. Bannon said, in terms of the electives that you can choose, for example, if you're interested in learning how to use Articulate Storyline, then that would be an elective that will be offered which will teach you how to use Articulate Storyline to design an e-learning training interaction. Now, keep in mind that this is a master's program, which means it's a graduate program, which means, you know, we don't have like hundreds of students so that we can offer the course, you know, every semester and every summer. So it's very selective. So we might offer Articulate Storyline, you know, once a year in the summer, or maybe another semester. So you will work with your advisor to decide on the available electives that are available for you to learn how to use a specific e-learning design app, or something with project management or web accessibility and design. So I hope we've answered your question.
And Jeanette is asking, what are the tuition costs? And tuition is $805 per credit. The e-learning graduate certificate is 15 credits. The master's is 30 credits. So if you reach out to the admissions representative, we can tell you all about tuition, the various ways of covering tuition, such as FAFSA or private loans, and scholarships and the like. And Molly is asking, do internships count as the 2 years of work experience? That's a good question.
Yes, it depends on the length of the internship and what you were doing. We have had students come in who have, you know, kind of a little less than a 2 years work experience, but yet have some applied experience that's in the field, or can kind of be, you know, sort of connected to the field in some way. So yes, we have considered that in the past.
And make that connection for us when you write the essay, and we'll be looking for that because you're going to be your best agent in this sense. And if you're making the connection for us, we'll see it right away. We read a lot, we write a lot, and just make it as clear as you can. And yeah, an internship for sure could count.
And she's asking, is there a predetermined schedule for the courses, or will we build that ourselves with our advisor?
There is kind of an ebb and flow to the courses. Netta, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're starting in the fall, there is a sequence. There are some prerequisites. Again, you know, this is a graduate program. So you have to take, say, a couple of courses before you could take the advanced version of the course. So you work with your advisor, but ultimately you have to take, you know, the basic instructional design course. EDIT 705 is a starter course, so to speak, followed by the 704, which is about adult learning theory, Hutugoji, and you know, other learning theories that permeate our field. And then the second semester in the spring of 2024, let's say you will do the user experience design courses back to back. These two courses are really cool because you work on a team and you stay with the same project across those two courses. So across the first 8 weeks and the second 8 weeks. And as my colleagues mentioned, you get to choose the project that you'd like to work on. Of course, the faculty member has to approve it. So if you're working for a company, and we've had, as Dr. Wilson mentioned, maybe you want to mention that again, Dr. Wilson, is a lot of our program is totally project-based, no tests, no quizzes, and you get to choose the projects that are relevant to you, that are meaningful to you. And as Dr. Wilson mentioned, examples, you get to apply them in the workplace almost immediately. So you kind of get to hit, you know, both, you know, with one stone, two birds with one stone, so to speak. But yes, there is a sequence. The electives are up to you, and of course, up to when we're offering them. And then in the second year of coursework, you take the analytics course, which is a more advanced course, the learning analytics course, and you take the advanced instructional design course, and things like that. But you can work with your advisor, you know, in terms of how fast you want to go or how slow you want to go. Like if you only want to do one course a semester and you want to spread it across 3 years, that's fine. But if you're ready to take, for example, let's say more than 6 credits a semester, we'll talk with you, make sure, you know, it's feasible, because remember, the courses are accelerated. You know, it's an 8-week course and there's almost a deliverable every week.
That's amazing in terms of the flexibility. I know that Mason gives up to 6 years to complete the degree. But I think it's great for the working professionals that, you know, you only have to take one class at a time if that's how you desire. So let's see. Allison is asking, could someone discuss how a class looks like on a weekly basis, such as, are there weekly essays that have to be posted? Just looking for a general feel.
Yeah, so those deliverables that Dr. DeBaugh mentioned, weekly deliverables across the 8 weeks, it turns out to be about 7.5. So are, you know, sometimes it's a discussion posting. Sometimes it's a mini video of you stating your opinion, or maybe it's contributing to an online debate. Maybe it is a you know, reading and synthesizing it into a paragraph or two. So those can be deliverables. There's usually, you know, a few more major assignments, like, for example, in the learning analytics course, you know, it takes a while to kind of, you look at some lectures, you'll do some readings, you'll try to kind of add to the discussion. What do you know about learning analytics? When have you heard that term? You know, reply in a 2-paragraph response, and then reply, you know, to 2 of your peers posting, right? So that would be kind of an early example. And then some of the more major examples would be building up your knowledge to then put together a 10-minute online presentation on you thinking about how you would apply what you've learned in learning analytics towards your workplace or another type of professional outlet. And you know, there's guidelines and rubrics to follow in that presentation, but you do a narrated presentation at the end as the final performance measure, if you will. So that's kind of project-based, but more about you applying your knowledge to a context, right? In some of the other courses, 732, 752 that Netta talked about, the UX research and design, you know, you're working with a team of usually about four students total, and you will pick the context and you will design and develop. You'll do a conceptual design, you'll do cycles of interviews and research about that context to get up to speed and document that, and then apply it to the design that you're doing. And then you will actually put your design concept in front of other users or learners, that target learners that you're going for, and collect some data and get their insights into it. So very much a design thinking, design project-based type of, and that actually is over 2 sessions, 2 courses. So the 2 8-week, so it spans a little bit more. But other courses like the learning theory course is really about you as an adult learner. It's really looking at your experience as a learner through the lens of learning theories, right? So, you know, how did these apply to my own experience as a learner? So that's just a little bit of flavor, if you will, but I'll let my colleagues opine.
I think that's really a wonderful question and some wonderful answers. And for me, it comes down to, can you as a designer, as a learner in our program, solve a real world problem? And so the application of the theories and the tools, right? A hammer is a great tool if you want to hit a nail, but you don't want to use a hammer on a screw, right? So it is very much a problem-solving, real-world context where we'll paint a scenario for you. I do one in the virtual reality course where I ask students to solve a school-based problem. If you didn't know, a lot of young people are injured going to and from school. And now this has nothing to do with shootings. But it's a real problem, it's documented. And so I asked my VR, AR students to look at the affordances of VR, AR tools. And so which one might you choose to solve this problem. And so, okay, go ahead. What's your thought process? Think aloud for me on video and explain to me why you see this working. And then, oh yeah, by the way, pick the tool and then show how you used it. And the other students look at that approach to the scenario. There's not any right or wrong. There's many paths to a solution in design, but that's your challenge, to apply these neat things that we teach. And there are a lot of wicked, intractable problems in the world. And part of our culture at Mason is we need you to demonstrate that you can attack this when you leave us. It's part of our, it's one of our values. That you should be ready to take action, right? It's not textbook stuff. It's what are you going to do with it? So that's a theme that runs through all of the courses. And I don't teach them all, but I know from talking to students, that's the challenge.
That's great. Very applied. Michelle is asking, can we pick more than one elective?
Yes, so the core courses are 23. If you're only going to do the Masters of Science by itself, then you have room for 7 credits of electives, which means our electives are usually 2 credits or 1 credit. So that means if you have 7 credits of electives, you can take 1 2 credit, another 2 credit, another 2 credit. That's already 3 2-credit electives, and then a 1 1-credit elective. Right now, we only have 1 1-credit elective, which is the online teaching essentials, but we're also thinking of designing another one with ChatGPT, and as we move along, we're going to be, you know, adding more 1-credit electives. Now, if you want to do both the certificate and the master's together, you will only have room for 2 2-credit electives. Why? Because we have a course that is specific to e-learning, the e-learning certificate. It's called EDIT 611. That course has to be completed on top of the 23 core courses for the Masters of Science, which means 23 plus 3, that's 26 credits, which leaves you with 4 open credits for electives. And if you're doing 2 2-credit electives, that means only 2 electives. But if you know you're willing to take more, even with the master's and certificate, it's okay to graduate with 32 credits or more, if of course you know you have time to do it and the finances to do it. But we can work with you when you're assigned an advisor to see what you're really interested in and how to structure your program plan. And of course, it's very flexible. We can always reorganize it based on your needs.
That's great. Jason is asking, what is the minimum GPA requirement? That it is a 3.0, but we do have a GPA addendum that is allowed. My bachelor's is just under a 3.0. In my concentration, it was over a 3.0, so that's good. I'm currently an L&D professional for my company, and I'm being asked to go into management. I really want more of a background in L&D.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you'd be a perfect candidate. You would
Mm-hmm.
you'd be a great candidate for our program. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And we have a business of learning technologies course that is available too, that we, you know, crafted for thinking about those types of professional trajectories into managerial roles. Many of our prior students are now in senior learning, design, and L&D positions. We've even had chief learning officers from our alums and many other different types of higher level positions. So it's a very good way to leverage in order to advance.
Yeah, and Jason, you feel free to unmute and say what you'd like to say, but we understand adult learners. I mean, my children, I know, like, they had less than 3.0 in undergrad. I mean, that is something we understand. I mean, and it's really, with your experience, you're already in L&D, that should not be a problem. We understand adult learners, we understand your applications. And as Dr. Wilson mentioned, you know, your personal goal statement is really important. As long as you clarify that, and your experience and why you want to get a master's should be fine. So go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you. No, I'm in meetings and I work with a curriculum designer now, and his breadth of knowledge, like he brings things up and I'm like, I don't know that. So I'm really interested in this program. So I have a broader sense of learning and development.
Yeah, Jason, we haven't mentioned it before, but we get people who have been in the field for 10, 15, 20 years sometimes, and they will say, oh my gosh, I've been doing this, now I know what to call it, right?
Right, right.
We get that a lot. And so we love that because you're catalyzing all of your experience. It's very much an adult learning theory kind of idea, right? You're catalyzing all of what you've built to this point. It's just you're codifying it into the master's program and hopefully learning some new things too, because we race to try to keep ahead of you.
I would like that because in the past 3 years, I moved from working from home, and I had to, I mean, the company that I work for, we all had to learn how to skill up and provide training in an online environment. And there were a lot of bumps in the road to do that.
Yep,
So,
yeah, absolutely. And it's
as most
changing.
people experienced, yes.
Yep.
Changing continuously. So so we're right there with you. We're just trying to run faster sometimes, but we love that breadth of experience that you bring and that real world context, and we leverage that in our courses. So we hope you'll bring it with you and share some of your insights too, so that we can make this very much a community of practice. That's learning theory.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to hearing from you, Jason. If you don't have an enrollment counselor, please reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to assist you in the application process. That's another thing about Mason, is that we look at the whole person. You're just not your GPA. We look at your work experience and, as I said, as a whole person. So
Yeah, finishing my bachelor's with a 6-year-old in school and working full time was quite interesting. Quite interesting.
But you did it. Good for you.
I did. He was in class a lot with me.
Oh my goodness.
My professors would tease and say, we enjoy him more than you. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Too funny. That's good for you though.
Right.
So here's another question. This is a great question. Is there a chance to get financial assistance tips like GA, TA, or I'm not sure what you mean by TA. Do you mean tuition? Yeah.
That's a little bit of a tough one for master's level students. We get that question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a doctoral program if any of you are interested later on. Of course, I always say if you want to open your own consulting company, or if you decide to get a PhD in education with a concentration or specialization in learning technologies, design, research, we have to be because we pretty much give those GAs, GRAs, GTAs to doctoral students, right, Dr. Bannon? I mean, it primarily goes to them college-wide, but we do have opportunities for internships in the summer that our students in the master's program can get paid internships in the summer, but there is a priority system that sort of offers the graduate research assistants and we don't really have teaching assistants, right, Brenda? Yeah, I mean. Yeah,
I would say, there's a process for applying. That's not to say that master students have not been hired. They have. Some master students who have a special skill set that, faculty might be looking for. Or support. Sometimes you can't find a doctoral student who can work 10 hours a week on something. And so I'm going to say that while the preference does go to doctoral students, typically for graduate research assistants, because they are typically sometimes full-time students and But the master students have been hired as graduate research assistantships, depending on their skill set and the match to a faculty need. So I would say put in an application. There's a process for doing that we can show you.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. And Molly is asking, would it be more difficult to start in the spring, or are most classes offered both semesters?
In terms of starting, no, Molly, you can start in the spring very safely. It's fine. We offer the 2 courses, right, Dr. Wilson? The starting courses, 705 and 704 that I mentioned in the fall and also in the spring. So no problem there. In the summer, it gets a little muddy, but no, in this, you're no problem starting in the spring, and then you will be graduating in December of 2025 instead of May of 2025. Yep, no problem.
Yep. Well, we've gone past 8 o'clock. Are there any other questions for our faculty before we end the session? And I want to thank you so much for your valuable time. This has been a very informative session.
Thank you, Susan. Please feel free, guys, if you want to send us an email specifically to one of us, Dr. Bannon, myself, or Dr. Wilson, feel free if you have additional questions. Or of course, in terms of application and tuition and all that, Susan will direct you. You know, you should probably email the online too at gmu.edu, and then, you know, you can go on the website, take a look at our courses. You can also even see some syllabi of the courses. I believe they're posted. Right, Dr. Wilson, if you just want to get an idea of what the course is like, you know, what you're sort of getting into, but it is a graduate program. It's 100% online, and you can start with the certificate and earn it quickly and then add the master's, but we recommend that you apply for the master's program if that's your goal, because then the certificate naturally fits into that.
Yes, thank you again. Thank you for joining us. And again, faculty, this has been a terrific session, so appreciate your time.